Welcome back everyone, Deep. This week has honestly been a blessing to the One Piece community. Apart from Zoro's Haki and life being sucked up dry by Enma and giving us indication that Oden's spirit still lives on in his sword, we hit the milestone of One Piece episode 1000, finally reaching Rupees, the midway mark of Wano in the anime. To add to that, we got the cast for the One Piece live action, but most importantly, One Piece movie Red was announced. And this movie is all about Shanks! Yes! Okay. Now, nothing is yet confirmed, but there has been a lot of rumors and speculation on what this movie will be about. As the D on the red has 2 scratch marks, it's likely to be about Shanks' life, either him as a child or his interaction with Blackbeard that resulted in his trademark scar. Or maybe it could be focused on what Shanks is currently doing during Wano. Who knows really, we might get a whole mashup of all of that. Either way, whichever direction they go, I'm just glad we get more of Shanks. But this isn't the only big news, as with One Piece chapter 1032, we have now finally entered the epilogue of this mighty long arc. Yes, today's chapter marked the ending of Wano, with Oda perfectly illustrating this arc as a magnificent art of a play, signified from the vibrancy of his illustration to the music, and most importantly, the actors. Chapter 1030 alluded to this with Kurozumi Kanjuro's final act, and now with the sound of the Shamisen Sengen, with the introduction of Hiyori's involvement in closing the chapter of Orochi's oppression, we can now rest assured that Oda is very close to finishing this part of Luffy's journey. But before we get further into the video, I have to tell you guys about the best, the greatest, the freest mobile game of all time. Can you guess it?
I don't know.
It's Raid Shadow Legends! With over 600 champions now, you will never need to play another game again, as these unique champions comes from different factions with their own history and lore. But today I got to tell you about the Orc faction. The Orcs have been done dirty by the Bannerlords. These poor guys got their homes, their lands taken away from them, and now all they can do is survive in the harshest conditions. But all hope is not lost for them, as Queen Ava of the Elves is helping them out. However, they can't trust her fully. Is this hot elf baddie just using the orcs for her own gain? Well, find out by playing the current campaign of Raid. Just look at the mad drip my man Val the Destroyer has. Don't you just want to help him against the humans who did him dirty? Honestly, playing the campaign is the fastest way to level up your champions and grind that XP. And to top things up, in this month, a lot of things are happening. From special events every day, a bunch of awesome new champions, and the brand new Guardian Ring that gives you loads of new ways to use your champion. In fact, at the start of December, Raid's releasing one of its biggest, most anticipated features ever. So if you want to get a huge head start, then all you have to do is click the link in the description below or scan our QR code, and you will get an epic hero Chonoru, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and 1 ancient shard to summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in the game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Just click that link in the description and comment section below. Okay, with that, let's get right into chapter 1032. We start off with an injured Marco and Izo, who are flying over Big Mom and heading towards the fire yokai Kazembo, which Kanjuro drew up as his final commemoration for the Kurozumi clan. I'm sure Izo is just concerned about Kiku and Kinemon, who are still in the midst of it all. We even see the beast pirates desperately trying to get to the next floor of the castle to avoid being burnt alive. Meanwhile, on the second basement floor, we catch up with Yamato, Apoo, Drake, and a friendly number giant who are all running together. Yamato presses the fact that she is busy and can't deal with Apoo and Drake's BS. It's then revealed that the number who is following her is named Fuga and is actually a centaur having a horse lower body. Yamato then tells Fuga, who is so excited being beside her, that it's been a while since they last saw each other, but she's in a hurry. She needs to get rid of the explosives in the armory. Suddenly at this point, Brook and Robin comes falling out of the sky from the upper floor, being chased down by CP0. They find themselves shocked as they safely land on top of Fuga's cushiony hair. As they bounce off, preparing to fight off the incoming CP0 members, they see the Kazembo yokai falling right behind CP0, but then engulfed by the yokai's flame. An announcement is made that the yokai keeps heading down. Yamato is shocked and has no idea what this yokai is, but is pretty worried about it heading towards the basement floor because because if it reaches there, the whole island is going to explode, killing everyone on it. It's likely that Kanjuro knew about the armory and planned to send the whole island to oblivion, as the yokai instinctively seems to be heading towards the explosives. Realizing this danger, Yamato asks her friendly giant Fuga to come with her and give her a hand. And with that, guys, balls! The prediction Haki came through once again. As last review, I mentioned how the giants will help, as they do, following the theme that has been placed in the series of giants being friendly to the Straw Hats, ultimately helping them out. From the Little Garden arc with Dory and Broggy to Enies Lobby with Kashi and Oimo. Like, I could go on and give many other examples, but the reality is that giants usually are portrayed to be very noble, holding justice highly. Plus, for some reason, they always have some affinity towards the Straw Hats. However, with all that said, I want to point out that these numbers seems like they weren't always giants. Like, is it just me, or they're pretty slow? Knowing how much Kaido relied on Smile and invested in science, I won't be surprised if these numbers are scientifically gigantified. And I know there is a theory out there on how the samurais from the past who saved Yamato in the flashback we saw in chapter 1024 are the numbers and were gigantified as a punishment. Now, I personally feel like that's a pretty big stretch, especially if we go with the potential theory of Zoro being the son of Ushimaru Shimotsuki. Then that would effectively mean that Zoro's daddy is Fuga? Now hold up, I can't accept Fuga is Zoro's father, okay? The counter to this argument is that the gigantification process doesn't make you grow horns, and even if they did eat the smile fruit, it shouldn't do that. It's more likely that they were Onis like Kaido and Yamato, hence the similarities and relations. Okay, now coming back to the chapter, whilst Yamato and Fuga runs off, bRokEn Robin takes the chance to ditch the CP0 members, as now there is a massive wall of fire between them all. But then the CP0 steps out of the flames looking super badass. And yeah, of course Apoo is there to ruin the moment like he always does. God damn! He takes a few pictures and starts yelling about how the CP0 being there is gonna be a major scoop, commenting that because the Celestial Dragons lost the middleman of Doflamingo to make business with Kaido, they had to send their own CP agent to do it instead. He pretty much clocked all the conspiracy, but the CP0 ain't having it and just tells Apoo to shut the hell up, rushing to Apoo and punching him right in the face, literally instantly killing him.
Man, I'm dead.
It was about time Apoo got what was coming to him. With that, it's only CP0 and X Drake left, where it's then revealed, which was quite obvious, that the CP0s knew that X Drake was working with the Marines all along. Considering they are part of Cyberpol, that was kind of expected. However, X Drake questions why the hell are they even here, which then they say handling pest control, as they attempt to wipe out X Drake due to, getting rid of evidence, much like how they did with Apoo. But before they can land their attack, there's an explosion right in their face, sending them flying. Sadly, guys, Apoo is alive and well. First it was Kinemon and now Apoo. When will Oda stop with these fake deaths?
All around me are familiar faces.
Nah, for reals, I'm just kidding. For those of you guys that missed my detailed explanation on how Oda perfectly executes meaningful deaths, giving it more significance, then make sure to check out our playlist I have linked in the comment section below. In fact, if you guys want to stay up to date with the community, then make sure you are subscribed with the notification bell dinged, and most importantly, smash that like button to power our balls! The prediction Haki! But coming back to the chapter, even Drake is shocked to see that Apoo is still alive. Apoo is offended and yells that he has armament Haki. Duh, so of course he didn't die. Apoo also gets excited that he was right all along about Drake working with the Marines. But Drake just tells him to shut his ugly ass up because right now they gotta deal with the CP0 members. Apoo agrees, and then we kinda see this weirdly foreshadowed tag team between them two, where Apoo and Drake, who's now transformed into a dinosaur, charges right at the CP0 members. Even though Apoo Apoo and Drake are considerably strong. Let's not forget that Drake did qualify to be a Tobiropo and Apoo is part of the worst generations. However, these CP0 members are on another level, so it's gonna be interesting how this fight turns out. Now, before we see any action between them, we jump outside to see Zoro and King still fighting. We see an overview of Onigashima up in the air where Momonosuke in his dragon form still trying to figure out how he's gonna lift the island after Kaido is defeated. King, who is in his Pteranodon form, is flying above. This is when shit gets a bit wacky as King prepares a very unique attack for Zoro. He grabs the top of his head and pulls it all the way back, making well, just look at his face. I can't even describe this. Bruh. Zoro even questions if his head is supposed to be pulled back like that. But before Zoro can think about it even more, King lets go of his head, making it shoot forwards towards Zoro. This butthead slingshot explodes the area around him, which catches Zoro off guard, sending him flying. Zoro, shocked that he couldn't block the attack, says it was almost like a laser beam. At this point, King shouts out, saying that's how the Pteranodon hunts. But Zoro doesn't have time to question this as he takes a pose and fires off his Spinaroo 360-pound Phoenix attack. Sadly, King easily dodges and starts raining his fireballs down at Zoro, who in turn start dodging the incoming projectiles, asking King if the Pteranodon also flew with flames on the back, in which King responds no. This actually left me laughing due to Zoro's reaction. But for reals guys, Pteranodons aren't actually dinosaurs, rather they are just flying reptiles. And like King's representation, they use their long forelimbs to generate momentum and would even pull back their crest, launching their heads into water to secure prey. This elastic nature of their necks allowed a spinal change of up to 100 meters, which in turn gave the Pteranodons remote retrieval of both their own heads and the prey itself from a safe distance. Now obviously Oda exaggerated this a lot, but the concept itself isn't too far off. We all can see Zoro's frustration in fighting an aerial opponent, finding it hard, but what makes things even more difficult is King's extra ability to shoot long distance fireballs, which isn't really part of his devil fruit. For those of you guys who forgot, in chapter 1022 we learned that King is from an extinct Lunaria race who were once a group of people that lived on top of the Red Line, and they had the ability to conjure fire at will. I already deep dived into this, speculating that this race were fire worshippers from one of the moons that once orbited the planet everyone is on. Either way, Zoro ain't done yet, and before King can attack again, he hits him with the Black Rope Dragon Twister. But again, King just blocks by enclosing his wings. Zoro makes a comment that dinosaurs are basically like dragons, just big lizards with tough hides. King says he ain't wrong, but he's on a different level. Now I like the fact that Zoro mentioned this, firstly because there is a consistent theme of samurais slaying dragons. If you consider Zoro to be the son of Ushimaru Shimutsuki and the descendant of Ryuma, the legendary god swordsman, then this comment seems very fitting. After all, one of Ryuma's biggest feats was literally decapitating a dragon. Though this homage was already made during Punk Hazard, it's still awesome to see this. King then finally decides to give Zoro a proper duel, swapping to his human form to clash his blades against Zoro's. As Zoro blocks his attack, he thinks how King did not bleed once when he was caught, and his black wings clearly aren't there just to look pretty. But Zoro wonders on why King hasn't used these wings to fly. Also, he questions what about the flame on his back? None of them are related to his devil fruit. Remember guys, Zoro being focused in this fight did not hear Marco or Queen's statement about the Lunaria race. Even so, Zoro is still able to deduce that King is of a race that he has never heard before. And without knowing what exactly King is, Zoro feels as though he cannot win. With this thought in mind, Zoro is pushed back and dealt a major blow, sending him flying into a huge rock. Exhausted down on the ground, Zoro hears the Shamisen playing. Suddenly his sword Enma comes to life and starts sucking Haki right from Zoro, just like how we saw in chapter 955. Now instantly there are two ideas that came to my mind on why this is happening. In chapter 955, Hitetsu stated that a normal swordsman trying to use Enma would be drained of all their Haki and rendered a dry husk. Zoro obviously is well trained in using Haki and has sufficient control, but at this state his will is faltering, feeling as though he cannot win just because you don't know King's race. This defeated mindset gave Enma the president to take over, and Zoro, already weakened, doesn't have the energy to pay mind to this amount of control Enma has. The second second idea was Enma reacting to the Shamisen knowing it's Hiyori who's playing it. Remember guys, Enma was once the sword of Oden and had been imbued with his Haki for that duration. Haki is literally the will and spiritual energy of a person. So some part of Oden is living inside of Enma. This is also alluded in chapter 1002 when Kaido felt Oden's presence coming from the sword. We actually went balls deep on Haki and explained everything you guys need to know about it in a standalone video, so make sure to check that out. But fundamentally, Haki is the living embodiment of a person's will. So technically Oden is there in this battle too. But going back to the chapter guys, we switch over to the castle's treasure room. Orochi is waiting for Fujikuro. I can now pronounce this guy's name. Fukuroku Joku. Listen, let's just stick with long ears dude. Now Orochi is waiting for long ears to pick him up so he can escape, but suddenly he hears the Shamisen playing too, which Zoro noticed earlier. He thinks to himself that it's pretty stupid that someone would stop playing in the middle of a battle, so he goes to check it out in the next room to see who it is. But as he slowly opens the door, he is shocked to see it being none other than Komurasaki. Yes, we see Hiyori fully dripped out in a traditional Japanese kimono playing the Shamisen. Orochi rushes into the room, tears flowing down his face, saying how he must be dreaming. He couldn't forget Komurasaki. Like this was his #1 queen. He's a simp for this person. Orochi saw her die in front of his eyes. He says it must be a dream and that he doesn't want to wake up. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the Shamisen holds a lot of significance in Japanese theatre, and in fact it's used in kabuki play. Kanjiro, who's highly influenced by that, showcased his final act of betrayal to the Kozuki clan was kind of like a final chess move. But now Hiyori, representing the Kozuki clan, will now end the 20-year-long battle and actually take revenge for her father and mother's death. Kill Orochi, the scummy snake he is. Anyway guys, let me know down below what you lot think. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, ding that notification bell to stay updated. With that, I'll catch you lot next time.